Have you ever noticed that the more spiritual content you consume, the less grounded you sometimes feel? You start with a genuine desire to heal. You discover astrology, human design, the tree of life, energy work, sacred teachings, mystical systems, and at first it feels incredible. For the first time in your life, something finally explains why you feel different, why you are sensitive, why you think differently, why the world often feels too loud. But then something subtle begins to happen. Instead of helping you live your life, spirituality slowly becomes a place to hide from it. You consume more teachings than you apply. You chase the next insight instead of making the phone call. You study archetypes instead of setting boundaries. You learn about your soul's purpose instead of paying the bill sitting on the table. And before you realize it, your spiritual path has become another form of avoidance, not because spirituality is wrong, but because ADHD minds are uniquely vulnerable to using meaning as a substitute for action. Today I want to talk about something most spiritual teachers never discuss: the shadow side of spirituality. Why neurodivergent minds are particularly susceptible to it, how this appears through the lens of Kabbalah, and how true spiritual growth is often much less mystical and much more practical than we would like it to be. The attraction of spiritual systems. One reason neurodivergent people are often drawn toward mystical systems is because they offer structure. Not rigid structure, symbolic structure. And symbolic structure feels natural to many ADHD minds. Many neurodivergent people think in patterns rather than straight lines. They intuit connections, they notice themes, they see relationships between ideas, they experience reality as a web rather than a list. Because of this, systems like astrology and Kabbalah often feel immediately familiar, not because they provide certainty, but because they provide architecture. They create containers for experiences that previously felt chaotic. Suddenly emotions have names. Life stages have meaning. Challenges become part of a larger pattern. For many people, this is deeply healing. And there is nothing wrong with that. The problem begins when the system becomes more important than reality itself. The ADHD search for the next insight. Many ADHD minds have a powerful relationship with novelty. The brain naturally seeks stimulation. New information creates energy. New discoveries create excitement. New possibilities create hope. This can become beautiful when directed toward learning, but it can become dangerous when directed toward spirituality. Because spirituality offers an endless supply of new insights, there is always another teaching, another teacher, another archetype, another interpretation, another cosmic event, another energetic explanation, another hidden meaning. The mind begins consuming spiritual content the same way it consumes social media, not for transformation, for stimulation. What looks like spiritual growth may actually be spiritual entertainment, and this is one of the most common traps. Many people spend years collecting wisdom, but never embodying it. They know dozens of teachings, yet their nervous system remains dysregulated. Their boundaries remain weak. Their relationships remain chaotic. Their daily life remains unsupported. Knowledge accumulates. Transformation does not. What Kabbalah teaches about this. One of the most misunderstood aspects of Kabbalah is that it is not fundamentally about acquiring knowledge. It is about becoming a vessel. The tree of life is not simply a map of ideas. It is a map of embodiment. Many people become fascinated by higher realms, hidden dimensions, spiritual concepts, mystical language, yet Kabbalah repeatedly returns us to the same question. Can you hold what you receive? Can your vessel contain the light? Because light without a vessel creates imbalance. Expansion without structure creates collapse. Insight without integration creates confusion. This is one reason the relationship between Chesed and Gevurah is so important. Chesed represents expansion, possibility, inspiration, flow. Gevurah represents limits, discipline, containment, boundaries, structure. Many ADHD minds naturally gravitate toward Chesed, the exciting idea, the new realization, the visionary possibility, the spiritual breakthrough. But true growth requires Gevurah, the ability to stay, the ability to practice, the ability to repeat, the ability to embody, the ability to turn inspiration into form. Without Gevurah, spirituality becomes floating. With Gevurah, spirituality becomes transformation. The shadow of escapism. Sometimes spirituality allows us to avoid pain, and this is where the shadow becomes most powerful. Instead of feeling grief, we analyze its spiritual meaning. Instead of feeling anger, we search for the lesson. Instead of feeling fear, we try to transcend it. Instead of facing reality, we bypass it. This is often called spiritual bypassing, but for neurodivergent people, it can appear in unique ways. Because many highly sensitive individuals have spent their lives feeling overwhelmed, escapism can feel safer than reality. The spiritual world feels cleaner, more meaningful, more beautiful, more ordered. The physical world feels messy, demanding, unpredictable. Yet true spiritual development does not remove us from reality. It teaches us how to remain present within it. If a teaching pulls you away from life, it is probably incomplete. If a teaching helps you engage with life more fully, it is probably serving you. The addiction to meaning. Another shadow many people never discuss is the addiction to meaning. Every experience does not need a cosmic explanation. Every difficult day is not a sign from the universe. Every delay is not divine intervention. Every emotional reaction is not karmic destiny. Sometimes you are simply tired. Sometimes you need sleep. Sometimes your nervous system is overloaded. Sometimes you need food. Sometimes you need rest. Sometimes your brain needs less stimulation. Many neurodivergent people become trapped in endless interpretation. They search for the deeper reason behind everything. And eventually, life becomes exhausting. The irony is that spirituality was supposed to bring peace. Instead, it becomes another source of mental activity, another layer of complexity, another endless puzzle to solve. The shadow side of spirituality is not only avoidance, it is overcomplication. Sometimes wisdom is simple, sometimes the answer is obvious, sometimes the next step is already visible. But the mind keeps searching for something deeper, something hidden, something more mystical, and in doing so, It avoids the thing directly in front of it, the most spiritual thing you can do. One of the greatest lessons Kabbalah offers is that light must descend into form. It must become embodied, real, practical, visible. The highest spiritual experience is not necessarily a mystical revelation. Sometimes it is consistency, sometimes it is honesty, sometimes it is keeping your word, sometimes it is resting before burnout, sometimes it is setting a boundary, sometimes it is drinking water, sometimes it is cleaning your home, sometimes it is having the difficult conversation. Many people seek extraordinary spiritual experiences, but transformation often happens through ordinary actions repeated consistently. The vessel is built through daily life, not occasional breakthroughs, and this can feel disappointing to ADHD minds. Because breakthroughs are exciting, consistency is not. Yet consistency is where the real change happens. 3 questions to ask yourself. Whenever you encounter a new spiritual teaching, ask yourself 3 questions. First, is this helping me engage with reality or avoid it? Second, am I applying what I already know, or am I searching for another insight? Third, is this making my life more grounded or more complicated? These 3 questions alone can prevent years of confusion, because genuine spirituality should create more clarity, more stability, more presence, more embodiment, not less. Closing integration. The shadow side of spirituality is not spirituality itself. It is what happens when inspiration becomes disconnected from action, when meaning becomes disconnected from reality, when light becomes disconnected from the vessel. For many ADHD and highly sensitive women, spiritual systems provide something deeply valuable. They offer language, structure, understanding, a sense of belonging, and that is beautiful. But the purpose of spirituality is not to escape life. The purpose of spirituality is to participate in life more fully, not to leave the world, but to become more present within it, not to avoid reality, but to meet reality with greater wisdom, not to collect endless insights, but to embody the ones you already have. Because ultimately, the most powerful spiritual practice is not learning another teaching, it is becoming the teaching. And that is where real transformation begins. If this video resonated with you, I would invite you to stay with this work. Every Sunday here on Sacred Structure, we explore the intersection of neurodivergence, spirituality, archetypes, Kabbalah, and nervous system regulation, not as abstract ideas, not as spiritual entertainment, but as practical tools that help us build more structure, more clarity, and more stability in our lives. So if you're a highly sensitive, ADHD, or neurodivergent woman looking for a deeper and more grounded approach to personal growth, make sure you're subscribed and click the notification bell so you don't miss next Sunday's video. And before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever noticed yourself using spirituality as an escape from reality? Or has spirituality helped you become more present in your life? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for being here. And until next Sunday, keep building sacred structure.